shattered, demoralized, unmotivated. How do you lead others when you are exhausted? Hi there, my name is Pete Last and thank you for joining me. This is week number 6 in my little collection of videos, a year in the life of an executive coach. And what's struck me this week is the emotional impact that this latest period of COVID lockdown is having on so many people and so many of my clients. And I came across an article this week on LinkedIn. It was an article written for the Harvard Business Review back in December by a Danish business psychologist called Marit Wedelsborg. And I hope I've got that pronunciation slightly close to the Danish pronunciation. She's a Danish business psychologist and author of a book called Battle Mind. And it was a really interesting article published by HBR back on the 15th of December. Really thinking and talking about the emotional impact that the periods of lockdown that we're all experiencing are having on leaders. And what I found interesting and really sort of chimed in with my practice as a coach was when Marit was talking about the fact that in the first lockdown period, for many of us, there was a response that she described as arousal in psychological terms, an arousal response. It's that sort of fight or flight response. Come on, we can do this, let's pull together. And in this country, certainly in England, there was lots of talk about, the war spirit and Captain Tom and all of this, that, we'll fight them on the beaches. We can defeat this vaccine. We can pull together. We can do this. And that was very much, I think, part of that initial reaction in that first lockdown period. For many people here in England now, of course, we're on lockdown number 3 for many people. And things are changing because that spirit is perhaps waning slightly. Maybe the flesh is willing, but the spirit is a little bit weak now. And in her article, Marit goes on to talk about that being a shift now into a stage where actually what people require is psychological stamina or perhaps resilience. And that's what led me to think about my coaching practice. And I read her article earlier this week because certainly speaking with my own clients in the last couple of weeks and also speaking with other coaches, I know that there are a lot of people who are finding things really, really tough at the moment. There's been a lot of heightened emotion in coaching sessions. There have been tears in coaching sessions. I don't think that's unusual in coaching, but I get the impression that perhaps there's more emotion, quite raw emotion, just beneath the surface, because people really are struggling at the moment to hang on in there. They're struggling to know how to cope and how to react with resilience to the current lockdown situation. Marit, in her article, goes on to suggest 3 different possible responses to that. And I'll perhaps leave you to explore those in the article. But 2 of the things she spoke about really did resonate with me and what I try to do with some of my clients. The first is helping clients understand the distinction between something that is urgent and something that is important. And I guess at the moment, when you're faced with a pandemic and maybe your normal patterns of business have been massively disrupted, you haven't got your staff in the usual places, maybe you're losing customers, maybe the relationship between your business and your customers is changing and may well change forever. There's a real danger there that leaders can get caught up in what they perceive to be urgent, but might actually neglect things that are really, really important. And that's where I think coaching could be very, very helpful to leaders in lots of different settings, business, in education, in local government, in all kinds of different settings. When the pressure is on, having somebody external to your current work situation as a coach to help you reflect on the difference between what's urgent and what is important, I think is actually very, very helpful. The other thing that Marit talks about in her article is getting a good balance between compassion and what she calls containment. I've taken those words to mean a balance between support and challenge. And I find in many of the sessions I have with clients at the moment, I am spending a bit of time being supportive, helping them to reflect on the things that are going well, helping them to focus on the positive things rather than just focus on the negatives, which many people are prone to do. But it's balancing that support with challenge, because actually, if we're not going to just sink under the duvet and lie in bed and eat pizza and watch Netflix all day, then we have to have some form of challenge. And Marit, in her article, talks about the importance of having appropriate challenge, keeping that the level of stimulus, the level of challenge at a healthy level for people. And again, this is somewhere where I think actually an external coach could be very, very helpful. Reflecting on my own time in the world of education, and particularly the latter years when I was a deputy head and then a headmaster, having somebody outside of the system that I could go to was for me very, very powerful and very, very helpful. And it's not surprising to me that one of the people who was most helpful to me during some of the most stressful times when I was involved in leading schools was in fact himself a coach, doing exactly what I find myself doing now. Because being outside of the system gave him that objectivity, and the way in which he questioned me and challenged me forced me to really step outside of the situation and look at things objectively, and hopefully get that better balance between support and challenge, and that also that clearer understanding of the difference between what is urgent and what is important. So I found that a really interesting read this last week, and it really has, as you can see, got me thinking about how, as a coach, I'm going about providing that balance of support and challenge for my clients. So if you get the opportunity to find the article published by the Harvard Business Review, 15th of December, by Marit Wedelsborg. Thanks very much for watching, and week 7 will appear in about a week's time. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.